Hello, everyone. We'll get started in about 2 minutes. I'm Alex Loyd. Welcome. I think tonight is gonna be short and sweet, maybe 20 or 30 minutes. And then if anyone has a question. So we're gonna try to be very aware of the time tonight for all of you. And we'll get started in just a couple of minutes. Welcome. I don't think we'll be doing audio questions tonight. There'll be written questions only. So the chat, I think, is where you would, no, the Q&A, I think, is where you would type in your question. And you can do that anytime. And at the end, we will go through those and try to answer them. And we'll be starting in like about 1 minute. Welcome. Welcome, everyone. We'll be getting started in just a few seconds here. Welcome. All right, I have 6:30, so we're going to start, try to be on time. And again, we're going to try to keep this tonight to about 20 to 30 minutes. I think that's all the time we'll need. This is pretty straightforward. And let me try to share with you where this started. This is probably by a significant amount the most powerful home study program I've ever put together. There's several reasons for that, and I will try to go through those. 23 years and 4 months ago, I believe I was given by God the healing codes. If you want to say I discovered it, okay, that's really not what I believe, but I guess it's possible. It could have been in my head. But anyway, part of that original download, the system it was based on was, in my opinion, by far the most popular and most often used system for spiritual issues. And it was an ancient system from thousands of years ago. And it's called the fruit of the Spirit, the fruits of the Spirit, okay? And it's the 9 virtues and their opposite vices. And then the other part of that was what I named the 3 inhibitors that can keep those 9 virtues from working and shift you to the vices instead of virtues. And that made complete sense to me at the time, because I believe that the source of any issue you could have, cancer, diabetes, MS, whatever, were spiritual issues. I believe those underlied, if that's a word, physical issues, chemical issues, relationship issues, all issues, okay? And sure enough, when we started using that system with the codes that were part of that download, people started getting better from spiritual issues, from mental issues, from emotional issues, but also from chemical and physical issues, okay? And we've been doing that ever since. And every program I have ever done that's like an entire code program, which Trilogy is probably code-based too. But every system I've ever done has been based on that system. Then about 1.5 years ago, I had an idea to try to build the largest natural health network in the world. And since that time, 1.5 years ago, when I had that idea, I've met with Dr. Josh Axe and Dr. Jordan Rubin, who have agreed to partner with me on that for the chemical side. And the gentleman who I believe may very well be the top practicing chiropractor in the world. He just won the #1 physician doctor in the city and was inducted into who's who of American, I believe, and world physicians. He won the prestigious Doctor's Award that's only been awarded twice in 23 years, and he was the second one. So he has partnered with me for the structural or physical and chemical. And then my program, Healing Codes in Trilogy, is for emotional and mental. But when we started talking about this, and I realized that the structural and chemical are based not on the ancient fruits of the spirit for spiritual issues, but they're based primarily on acupuncture points and meridians and control and alarm points that control a particular meridian. And before the healing codes, that's the system I was trained in. Okay, starting with Dr. Roger Callahan, the pioneer of energy psychology worldwide. Okay, and then a lot of other trainings as well. Okay, but then the healing codes came along, and it was based on that spiritual fruits of the spirit system. But when we decided to try to build the largest natural health network in the world, it became clear that that needed to be based on the system that the world uses for natural health and healing and that sort of thing. And that is not the ancient fruits of the spirit. That is the acupuncture meridian control and alarm points system. And there are 12 meridians, and each has a control or alarm point, and each has related chemicals, related structure, related emotions and mental, all of the above. Okay. And we started about 6 months ago launching that natural health network. And we've really not had the official launch, but we've had sort of a starting launch until we get a library built and some stuff like that. Okay. But when we decided to do this, I started working on this program that would be Trilogy and the Healing Codes, both for the naturopathic system of the world that every chiropractor I know uses, every naturopath that I know uses, it's just the world system for natural health and has been for a long time. Okay. So if you're looking natural, this is typically what you'll find. All right. Now, let me give you a little bit of background. Most of you are aware that I launched the Healing Codes in 2001 after that discovery. And then every program I've done has been based on that same fruits of the spirit, spiritual underlying issues. Okay. But what I felt like I needed to do for this program, and by the way, we call this professional grade Healing Codes and Trilogy. And that is really the truth in this natural health network. This is the system that will be used primarily for mental, emotional issues, but I think also for chemical and structural and physical issues. And that's how I formulated it. I formulated every one of these codes to heal the underlying energy imbalance in the physical, the structural, the chemical, as well as the spiritual. Okay, just like the fruits of the spirit system, but a different system, but still encompassing all negative emotions, mental issues, etc. Okay. Now, the other part of this is Trilogy and the healing codes together. And after Trilogy came out and tested as being more effective, more powerful than the healing codes with our heart rate variability research, I started using Trilogy everywhere and sort of put the healing codes on the shelf, so to speak, a little bit, not really, but a little bit. Okay. Then, and some of you know this story, so I apologize for repeating it, but some of you don't. I was doing a workshop in Europe, and in Europe, no one's heard of Trilogy, but a lot of people have heard of the healing codes. In fact, the healing codes, my books have sold much better in Europe and Asia than they have in the United States. Okay. So the host of the workshop said, Alex, you're known more for the healing codes than Trilogy. When we say Trilogy, nobody here really knows what you're talking about. So in order to make people feel more comfortable, could you do the healing codes and Trilogy in the workshop, which I had never done, and had not really done a workshop with the healing codes for a few years at that point. But I agreed to that. And so we did it. And we would do a custom healing code and then a custom Trilogy back to back, kind of as one integrated thing. Okay. And the results of that weekend workshop, and I've been doing those for a good while now. I was doing more before COVID, but now I'm starting to do them again. But pre-COVID, I would probably do 5 or 6 of those a year, almost all of them in Europe and Asia. Well, that weekend was just off the charts, and it proved to me that while Trilogy might be a little more powerful than the healing codes and Trilogy together are more powerful than the Trilogy. And we've been experiencing that ever since, okay? And most of you have probably heard by now that there have been 22 double-blind studies on my interventions, primarily the healing codes and Trilogy. And those 22 double-blind university studies published in peer-reviewed journals looked at or studied 82 separate life issues. Some of them spiritual, some of them mental and emotional, some of them chemical, some of them physical, okay? And all 22 studies found that my interventions work significantly to dramatically on those issues, even the physical and chemical ones that were studied in those 22 studies. So that gave me some confidence to formulate these codes, not only for the mental, emotional, spiritual, like we have until now, but also for the physical and chemical. So when you experience anger or frustration or low self-worth or rejection or sadness, depression, anxiety, when you experience those, you're really experiencing an energy imbalance in your body. And in particular, that area. So if you have a stomach ache, like I woke up with this morning, you typically have an energy imbalance, maybe in your overall body, but for sure in your stomach. And if you can balance the energy in your stomach, then that starts to feel better. The mental emotional gets better, the chemical gets better, etc. But what we're working on in every case is the underlying energy balance or imbalance, so to speak, okay? But this is the first program I've ever done for the physical, chemical, structural imbalance, okay? And so that's what this program is. And so not only is it different, and every code is a brand new custom formulated code that's just for this. And it is professional grade. We never plan to offer this to anyone outside of chiropractors, naturopaths, MDs and people like that. The only exception to that is to my list, and we are going to offer it to you. But outside of my list, our intention is that this will be exclusive to that largest natural health network in the world that we're trying to build, okay? Which coincides with the chemical, the naturopathic system, as opposed to the ancient spiritual system, etc. So what I would say is, if you've done the healing codes in Trilogy and you still feel like there's a level you need to get to that you've not gotten to yet, I would absolutely try this, and I believe you're going to be impressed. The people in my following who I've had try this, and all of them had done the healing codes in Trilogy before, every single one of them said, yes, this feels more powerful. Yes, I got better results with this. So we're excited about it. That's the whole reason we're doing this largest natural health network, is so that chiropractors, naturopaths, etc., can offer interventions that have not been available in the past. And Dr. Tim Adair, his contribution to that is called Quantum Next Steps for the Physical and Chemical. And then Dr. Jordan Rubin and Dr. Josh Axe, theirs is the nutritional side, chemical also, of the quantum next steps. So there's a structural to that, a chemical to that, a mental, emotional, spiritual for that, but built into mine is all three. And none of those others are for all three. They're either for the chemical or the structural. Okay, so that's what this is. And it's the first time we've offered anything with the healing codes and Trilogy together. Okay, and I want you to see the issues that are covered in this new program. So Laura, if you could bring up the list of the issues covered. And I believe there's 265 issues. And Laura, if you'll just scroll through those, not too fast, but not super slow either. And by the way, this manual is about 300 pages. And you're seeing the physical issues now, that there's custom codes for each of these. I think it's probably about the top 200 physical and chemical issues in the world today. Okay. And so we have customs for all of these. And I would recommend basically the same thing I recommend in the healing codes in Trilogy, to rate that issue, to say a prayer, write it from your heart, and then do the code, and there'll be a custom healing code and then a custom Trilogy. And to do that until the issue gets better, and then better, and then better, until finally it's below a 1 out of 10. And then you're probably ready to work on something else. Okay. So you're seeing in this list, like the triple heater meridian, and then all the physical and chemical issues, and some spiritual and mental too, that are under that. Then there's the gallbladder meridian. Anyway, in total, it's all 12. It's a complete system. Okay. And this is the natural health system that virtually every country of the world, every professional practitioner, probably except me, because I'm working on mental, my other ones are on mental, emotional, spiritual. Okay. So I felt totally justified using that spiritual system, which is far and away most popular and most quoted spiritual system in the world. No doubt about that. But this system is also very effective, also goes back over 1,000 years, hundreds of studies on the acupuncture meridian system, okay? And here's another thing too, since you've got for each issue, both a healing code and a trilogy, I've heard for 20, well, no, not for 20 years, for about the last 6 years since Trilogy came out, I'll hear from people, I like the healing codes better. It's more restful, it's more relaxing, it's calmer. And I've heard from people who say, I like Trilogy better. I seem to get better results. It seems to have a little more power, even though it's a little bit more complicated and not quite as calm when you're doing it. Well, now that you've got both the custom healing code for that issue and the trilogy, I would try all three. I would try just doing the healing code for it. I would try just doing the trilogy for it. And then I would try doing both for it at the same time. But you can't do that with any of my other programs because they don't have the custom codes for the underlying structural, chemical, or physical, only the spiritual, mental, emotional. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. And if I'm right, it's 265 issues. I think 150 to 200 of those are physical, something like that. I may be wrong on that, on the number, but it's basically every major physical issue, illness, disease, problem, all the top ones in the world. Okay, and this is a complete system. There's nothing left out of this. Okay, so that is the 265 issues that are unique to this. And then let's go to the second slide we were going to show, Laura, if you don't mind. All right, and this is the Quantum Next Steps belongs to Dr. Adair, but here's in one picture the organ system and the mental emotional. There's also a chemical component, but that chemical component can vary depending on the person, okay? So those are the 12, and those are the 12 mental emotional issues. And you'll have the custom codes for each one of these and each one of those. So this is 12, and there would be another 265 minus 12, 53, 253 other issues besides the one you're looking at on the screen. Okay. All right. So Laura, if you can take that down and just bring up the page for this new product so they can see it, and the link where they can go for more information or to get it if they would like to. And by the way, this is a double package because it's healing codes and trilogy, 300-page manual that's 8.5 by 11 single spaced. That's about the equivalent of 2 250-page books, hardcover books. So there's a lot of information. It's not complicated. We put all that information so that it works for all learning styles. There's different learning styles. There's kinesthetic, there's visual, auditory, whatever. So we've written the manual for every learning style. That's why it's so long, but there's a quick start. There's showing you how to use this. And a bonus we're doing with this is also a chart that gives that's in this program that gives you the control points for each of those meridians and the physical, chemical issue. Okay, so each meridian has one control point. And very often you can get relief from one of those 265 issues outside of doing the healing codes and trilogy by stimulating the control point, or the point that clears that whole meridian and everything on it. Okay. And I give you that chart in this package. So you can also, in addition to the healing code and trilogy, you can go to that chart and stimulate that one point. And I believe you're going to see some very good results just from that. And all of that is in the manual. Okay. So that is the Trilogy Wellbeing. It includes the healing codes and trilogy, but it is based on the world's natural health system rather than the one I've always used, because it's what happened to me when I discovered the healing codes. So of course I would use that one, and it also made sense because to me it was about the spiritual, mental, emotional. But these, again, are for the spiritual, mental, emotional, the physical, the structural, and the chemical, all of the above. So these codes were a good bit harder to formulate than the ones in the other manuals and the other home study programs. Okay. So this is the only program of its kind we have. And I really don't plan to have another one like this. This is the master program for that world's natural health system. Okay. All right. So I think that's about all I needed to share. So if you have a question, type it into the Q&A that I believe is at the bottom of the page. And the link, Laura, if you could post the link over on the right, that would be great. And we'll be sending out an email tomorrow that has a link for this recording so that you can watch and listen to this again if you would like to, or forward it to a friend or relative. We're giving you a special discount as we launch this, and we may not be offering that discount again. We don't plan to offer it in the professional grade that's in the naturopathic offices and the chiropractic offices and the spas and things like that. There, it will probably be the retail price listed, or maybe $50 off of that. But the price that we're offering tonight is better than either one of those. So, and I don't know how long we'll offer that, at least the next week, maybe longer, but probably not indefinitely. All right, so we've got a few questions. How does this compare to LT3? I don't have anything that is equivalent to LT3. LT3 has a mechanism that nothing else we do has in it. That activates all energy centers, I believe, in the body, mind, spirit at the same time. Okay. And it is one-on-one with me and a lifetime program at no additional charge. So LT3 is really a completely different animal than this. What is emology? Emology is a word I came up with to represent emotional well-being. That is the main thing that we do. Has your program helped with muscular dystrophy or Down syndrome? We've had reports of that with the healing codes and trilogy, not with this program. This is brand new. Okay. And by the way, if you want to go to our website, Dr. Alexander Loyd, you can read those 22 double-blind studies for yourself. You can see for yourself the 82 life issues from cancer, diabetes, MS, all sorts of issues. They have studied those with my interventions, but not with this one. Okay, because this one's brand new. And no, you will not find these trilogies anywhere else except here. They're not in any library or anywhere else. They're here only. Someone said, nice to see me. Thank you. If we purchase this already, when do we receive the actual product? You'll be getting an email that should have a link for you to download that, and then you download it and get started within about 30 minutes if you want to with the quick start program. What if you do not agree with your idea? I'm assuming that's my idea of spirituality. Makes no difference. Makes no difference. The 22 double-blind studies had nothing to do with my view of spirituality. They were for 82 health issues, and they found that my interventions worked significantly to dramatically on all of them. There's never been a study. There wasn't a 23rd one that said it didn't work. Every study ever done found it worked, and on those 82 life issues. And they're doing more studies, by the way, on more issues. And one of the things they're studying, like for the cancer in the double-blind studies, it wasn't on cancer, the physical cancer. It was on the underlying mental, emotional stress of cancer. But now they are doing a study to see about physical cancer. Now, in those 82 issues, there's a number of physical issues they studied, the actual physical issue, but cancer was cancer underlying issues, not the physical cancer itself. But with the healing codes and Trilogy, we've had people around the world report healing of pretty much every kind of cancer you can name. But again, what we're always working on is the underlying energy imbalance. Everything is made of energy. That's E equals MC squared, okay? A table, a tree that seems solid are really not solid. It's made of atoms. The atoms on things that seem solid have an atomic bond that makes them together. But if you get an electron microscope and keep going more and more magnification and look at the atom on the table or the tree or whatever, the electron microscope will get closer and closer to the atom until all of a sudden you're like, whoa, where'd it go? The atom's gone. It's not gone. It's just not physical. It's made of energy. So the electron microscope, when it got to a certain magnification, goes right through the atom because it's not physical. It's made of energy. And so that is true of the healing codes and Trilogy packages. It's true of this package as well, but I've formulated each one of these to also be for the underlying energy balance or imbalance of physical, structural, and chemical, as well as the spiritual, mental, and it's the only thing we have with the healing codes and Trilogy together, which we found are significantly more effective. Someone asked, I've been using the universal. Yeah, the universal is great. If you're getting the results you want from the universal, that's wonderful. And we've had people all over the world who've never heard of, they never seen me, they never heard me, they never contacted us, 50 states, 184 countries, etc. We've had so many people heal from that universal code. So if you're getting the results you want, great. But if you feel like there's another level of power you need to get to for your particular issue, I would try this. And like our other packages, this has a 365-day money-back guarantee for any reason whatsoever. I don't know anyone else in this field who does that. And most of my peers told me I was nuts for doing it. I disagree. I think we've been blessed for doing that. And also for not turning people away on the basis of money. And if you need this program and you can't afford it, you are literally financially impoverished. And I'm not talking about, I had a client one time who was a famous singer. If I mentioned him, you would all know who it was. And he had been working with me one-on-one, and he told me that he couldn't pay me because he was building a new mansion and he had just had a $30,000 expense that he wasn't expecting. Now, that's not what we're talking about when we say financially impoverished, okay? We're talking about, you know, maybe you're not homeless, but you're close to that or something. It's not that you're spending money on other stuff. You just don't have any money. And for those kind of situations, we always want to help, and we always have in the past. All right, I'll give you another minute or so. If anyone else has a question, I've answered all the ones so far that are there. And I believe in the chat, a tab at the bottom of the screen should say chat. And if you click on that, it gives you the link to go to the program to get more information, to read. There's lots of information there about it, to read all of that. If you have other questions, you can contact us at contact us. It's at the bottom of the website, and we will answer. And besides the program being about $100 cheaper, then we plan to offer it in the Natural Health Network. We're also giving you an extra 10% off tonight, in addition to that $100 off. So about 10% would be like $30. So it's about $130 you'd be saving, as opposed to when we're not launching it and, you know, we maybe take the price back to the normal retail. So that is the situation. Someone said, how do we get in touch? If you go to my main website, dralexanderloyd.com, you should find a button at the bottom that says contact us. And that's how you contact us. And we will respond, almost always within 24 hours. All right. Well, that's all the questions we have right now. So thank you so much for being here this evening. And whether you decide to try this or not, God bless you, and I wish you health, happiness, and fabulous, loving relationships, the most important thing of all. And you can address all of those with this package, but I believe in a more powerful way than we've ever been able to offer before as a home study program. And by the way, this is for you and your family. You don't each have to buy one. And it's for life. It has that 265 issues with custom codes. So any physical, chemical, mental, emotional issue you or your family has for the rest of your life, there should be a custom code, Trilogy and healing code for that in this program, as well as the control and alarm points for all 12 of the meridians that you can activate that one spot and it will clear the entire meridian and really help the energy imbalance as well. All right. So I hope that makes sense. Let us know if you have questions. I'm so excited. We finally bringing this out after a year and a half, basically. And I'm happy to offer it to you when it's probably not going to be offered like this anywhere else except to professionals, naturopathic doctors, MDs, chiropractors, people who are directors of health spas, things like that. All right. So give it a try. Let us know what you think. And I love you guys. Have a wonderful, blessed day and evening. And Laura, thank you so very much for your wonderful help with the tech behind the scenes. Thank you, everyone.